Greetings everybody, Radaman here for episode 2 of my Europa challenge. So a few of you made some suggestions. Pantheon Guardian, you reminded me that I should probably use the double conduit trick that I do with my turrets often in my videos for my grow light, and you are absolutely right. So that's the first thing I'm going to do here, and I just wanted to credit you for reminding me of doing the trick. And the trick is such, so if you're unfamiliar, the lamp will be powered when connected to this conduit, unpowered when connected to this conduit. It's as simple as that. Then Provo Go mentioned that I should probably be growing rice, not potatoes, because rice grows faster. So rice grows more than twice as fast as potatoes, but yields half as much, so it's still a net positive. So I'm going to be growing rice next harvest rather than potatoes. And then I thought, to use all this alpaca wool, I'm going to go make a hand tailor bench. And I had some other little redesign thoughts as well. Another one was slag for sandbags. So, slag wall 1. And the settings on these, let's just say they're normal. And will only allow steel slag. Let's copy those settings and paste them. Slag wall 2 and slag wall 3. And this way, we can't really afford sandbags at the moment, but the slag wall will do for now. Another thing I realized is I needed to turn this into a trade zone, give it a proper name, and give it a low priority so that we haul things where they belong. Gonna start a parka. It's warm, slows me down my work speed, and a little bit physical movement speed, but I think it will be worth it overall. Actually, now that I look at this, we really don't need the orbital trade beacon with power either, do we? So a few of you have mentioned that my mic's been echoing, and I hear it myself in the playthroughs. I know without a shadow of a doubt it's an OBS issue. I just have to figure out how to fix it. So I've been tinkering with my OBS settings, and let me know if you continue to hear it, and I'll continue tinkering. Otherwise, maybe I fixed it. So in this episode is going to be a little weird because basically I have no way of cooking the food, and I'm about to run out of meals. So I'm thinking of trying to salvage some steel for an electric stove. But the thing is, I would need to break down every single object here that's made of steel, except for maybe this door. And that's the only way to salvage enough steel. So it's not really a route I want to go, but maybe I end up doing it anyway. I guess we'll see. Time will tell. So I just got a peace talk opportunity, but Cross here is a level, 4 social? And I don't really have meals for a 6-day round trip or whatever it would be. I guess we can go check. I bet it's something along those lines. Almost 6.5 day round trip. Yeah, forget it. Can't afford that. If they want peace, they could come to me and ask in person. So once we have this Parker, we're going to be able to haul the slag that's out there. That's not really going to fix our lack of steel problem until we have a smelter, though. I'm going to set the schedule here to anything or sleep. Just because the mandated joy is sometimes not the most efficient way of going about it. And because I'm micromanaging a single pawn, I don't really need to set a schedule. It's not really that important. So what I think I will do is, before it gets colder, I'm going to break down. Let's not be standing in one door while we break down another. I'm going to start recovering as much of the steel as I can without compromising the base all at once, because I don't want these potatoes, of course, to die. Right now it's a non-ideal temperature because I did a little bit of damage there. So I gotta be careful of that. That's a little bit more steel. I'm gonna put doors in on both sides, so once we have the full ring, we don't have to do a run around constantly. That would be dreadfully inefficient. So we've got 68 out of the 80 steel we need. So we're getting there. There's 2 more pieces that I can break down. And we'll replace that with wood. So I only need 4 more pieces, and I could probably get that from these steel walls. The thing, you know, actually, yeah, I can do that. Let's warm up first, though. Yep, that will give us enough. Because eventually I'm going to have walls out like this to form a kind of a cubby here in my kill box. So these walls being wood, they don't get damaged necessarily. So let's haul this steel away. And that means we'll have enough for an electric stove. However, here's a separate issue. We have 3 steel left, correct? We don't have enough power. We don't have enough line to run conduit in order to get our electric stove powered. So I could put the stove elsewhere, but I was really planning on putting it here. I suppose I could put the stove here or here instead, but obviously that's not what I had planned. But I guess what I can do is I can wait until I actually literally... Oh, you know what? We have a steel horseshoe pin. Yep. That solves that issue. That's a bit more steel. I can go ahead and replace that horseshoe pin with wood. This is just poor planning on my part. I really should have invested more in steel over wood. Alright, so now it's not an issue. We can put our stove where we wanted. And I just turned off the comms console temporarily because we were running into a bit of a power issue. I have to be careful how much I run my grow light. I don't want my battery to get too low, because if the battery drains, or if the battery drains all the way out, the potato plants will die unless I'm generating excess power. So something to definitely be careful of. And I'm not always that careful about it. So big news, obviously, most of you probably already know, but Beta 18 just released. So now we're no longer calling them alphas, we're calling them betas. Tynan explained that it's because we are pushing forward towards a 1.0 release. And given that we're headed to our 1.0 release, we're going to start calling them betas rather than alphas to reflect that we have progressed development. Basically, that's... And that makes a good bit of sense to me. Alright, so we're just running a little bit longer conduit here. And that will... Oh, perfect. So Provo Go, here we go. I'm setting it up for rice rather than potatoes. And hopefully we don't have any failed harvests. Alright, 8 for 8. That's lucky. Or skilled, I'm not sure which. That gives us 103 potatoes, which is pretty good. If none of the rice harvests fail, we'll get about 50 rice per grow time, per grow period. On the other hand, I am pretty soon probably going to need to cut the grow lights because the wind died down. So Beta 18 is a world of story, and as a result, this is no longer an unstable test build playthrough. It is a Beta 18 playthrough world of story, and the thumbnails of the videos will reflect that. So you'll be able to see that in the thumbnails, and I can retroactively fix and change the thumbnails that have already been generated, and I've gone ahead and done that. I posted about this playthrough on the Ludeon forums, on the Steam forums, and on Reddit. So if you're interested in contributing to those discussions, feel free to do so. I'd be happy for you to do so. I'm not so much of a self-promoter, and often you guys ask why my viewer numbers are down. Well, I don't really do a lot of self-promotion. I play because I enjoy the games, not because I want to become popular. However, it encourages me to play more when I get some views. When a series starts to get no views, it's a little discouraging. And that's why that's why a lot of my playthroughs I try to encapsulate a goal that makes sense, that I can accomplish in a given amount of time, because dragging one playthrough on forever certainly does not encourage new viewership. But having these nice little isolated challenges, they're definitely conducive to what we're looking for. So what else? I really want to slag. I want to process slag. That is a really high priority of mine. Let's rewire these now that I'm looking at it. We can stop having these really long wires that drag across their entire base. We can definitely have them tidied up a bit. All right, there we go. So because I rewired it, they took a little bit of damage due to the duration that the table was off, the hydroponic basin. Not that big of a deal. Now, one thing I have to do is to watch the work left, because I want Cross here to finish that parka when he's not hypothermic, or at least not negatively affected by hypothermia. So that's pretty important. So I'll have to keep an eye on that and stop him at about 5 or 3 or something. Get him nice and warm, and then we can get back at a crack at it. Micromanaging my lights is something that brings back mixed memories, let's say. Mixed memories of last Sea Ice playthrough. I think better batteries, or more batteries rather, might be pretty awesome in this scenario. Now, there is an infinitely generating power source that was added in Beta 18. I don't think I'm going to be offered any of those quests, because those quests are probably wired to more temperate area of the map, but it also could be wired in such a way that it's based upon colony wealth or population, both of which I'll struggle to increase. So there's a whole lot of reasons why I might not see some of the Alpha 18 incidents and events. I did see peace talks, and they're trying to give me they gave me a spot to meet for peace talks. I'm curious if peace talks happen roughly between the nearest outpost that you're... Yeah, maybe that's a thing. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's totally random. I don't know. I only have a little bit of anecdotal evidence, and I've never really thought about it that way before. But if you guys know definitively if that's true or not, it'd be cool to know. Alright, so now there's only 9 work left, so when he goes out there, he's going to finish while not hypothermic. Oh no, maybe finished while hypothermic, but we got a normal quality parka, which probably means I need to drop the toque, leave it forbidden, and let's go ahead and straight away permit the Hall of the Slag, because there's 7 slag out there, and we have 7 spots for a slag wall. And And this will act as some okay cover from shooters. Not as good as an open door and sandbags, but free. And free cover is the kind of cover I can afford. I'm going to disallow the other toque, the wearable toque, because I really don't want Cross wearing it at the moment. So we're protected up until negative, let's say 170. I'll round it out a little bit. And it's not even close to that. And the reason I'm not wearing the toque is because indoors it would lower my comfortable temperature range to the point where it'd actually be uncomfortable in the heat. I'd be too hot inside with the toque on. Which is kind of funny that I'm in... This temperature here isn't like record-breaking for Earth, but it's close. And it's funny to think that it'd be too hot in a little cabin in the coldest place that humanity's really ever experienced. I'm curious, besides the vacuum of space, what's the coldest? Because there's a reason... ooh, my batteries are getting mighty low. Heat doesn't really conduct in a vacuum. Granted, the vacuum, quote-unquote, of space that we experience is in actually really, really just very thin atmosphere. It's not, ooh, okay, it's time to cook, isn't it? It isn't actually true vacuum. But that argument aside, I'm curious what, like, definitively the coldest is. I'm going to go ahead and just turn off the stove because we're running so low on power. I'm really hoping the batteries kick up because we are about to brown out. I've turned off everything non-essential. I think I'm going to turn off even one heater. Come on, wind. Stop filling me. I think the wind just picked up. Oh, dear Lord. Just enough to keep the rice from dying from the cold. I really do need to manage my battery a little bit better. I'm going to keep the grow light off until this battery gets well above half. Another thing that should be painfully obvious to all of you is that I'm no longer growing at a decent rate because of temperature. I'm pushing towards winter here, and it's going to be very, very hard to get things to grow at full growth rate pretty soon without some additional steel. I think this base... Okay, gross again. Let's stop doing that. This base is... okay, really. This base is somewhat subsistent, you know, or sufficient, or yeah. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I guess what I'm trying to say is I could probably survive meagerly for a decent period of time with what I have constructed here. Winter months will be a little extra tough because of how cold it gets. I might not really have the ability to grow all that well on the winter months, but it's good enough. It's good enough that I'm not going to like die all of a sudden. The reason I didn't trade this pirate merchant, if you're curious, is A, my comms console was off, and B, I have nothing to trade to a pirate merchant whatsoever. I don't have weapons or slaves or drugs, and that's all they're ever after. But here's to hoping that exotic or bulk comes by and offers me something actually worth... Okay, well, that's not really a merchant. Let's see. Are they even going to make it to me? Negative 17, negative... No, they're not. They're attacking straight away, so actually they might. So I take that back. They might actually make it to me, but they're not going to feel good. They're going to be severely hypothermic by the time they get here. Guess I should start. Oh, and they're already fleeing. So let's go ahead and strip them down. This club is worth $2. 2 buckaroos. No thanks. Oh, this one. She passed out way long ago. So someone asked me, why am I not hauling all of the clothing back to my base? It's just because there is important things to do. Let's go strip all of them, actually. There's important things to do, and I don't really have time to make a silver or two off of a piece of clothing. It needs to be economically worth my time. So like this revolver, for instance, is worth 36. This duster is worth 8. This toque is worth 14. Pants are worth 11. I'm going to carry the revolver, if that makes sense. And I'm not going to make time for a toque worth a silver or two, because I don't gain a silver or two from a merchant. I will gain a fraction of that because you don't sell it wholesale. You don't sell it at what it's worth, but market value. And market value is a lot less. And that's why when I don't make time for hauling all the little items, it's because it's really just not worth my time. I'd rather haul slag and have a possible source of steel in the future than make an extra 15 silver for spending the entire day hauling toques that I might not be able to sell for a long time. If that makes sense. Alright. So we have enough power now that I feel safe turning the grow light back on. So we have a few new dead raiders. Oh, and here we go with the rice. And sewing it back into the basin. So we got 103 potatoes and 49 rice. So as you can see, some stuff is more efficient to grow than others. Some yields more. It's really kind of a mix. I guess what I can do, because I have the slag isn't urgent because I really don't have the ability to break it down. I can go and haul all of their stuff. I might need to make some extra room, but I do actually, for now, have a little extra room. I can push this wall out to the edges here. And that's fine. But it is a lot of time I am spending hauling stuff around, as you may have already noticed. Hours and hours and hours spent hauling for a few silver. So if you're having your own playthrough, make sure you're using your time efficiently. Because if you're not using your time efficiently, living in this sort of living on the knife's edge like this, you need to be good at time management, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's a very important skill to have. And sometimes I'll have the manpower and the time to haul a bunch of pointless crap around, and sometimes I won't. I could, for instance, right now be crafting an alpaca jacket or 2 toques or something, but instead I'm hauling it's worth next to nothing. So a lot of you guys really enjoy my playthroughs, and I'm curious what kind of playthrough you want me to play for the newly minted Beta 18. because now that Beta 18's here, on Ludeon.com, there's I think it's about 11.5-minute video of all the features, or a lot of the features of Beta 18 that Tynan goes through. And I would love to hear what kind of playthrough you'd like to see me do with those features. Now, I was thinking of a tribal, but not restricted to tribal only, start in a tropical jungle where eventually I build my own spaceship um, and fill in sort of the minor details there of what kind of tribe and the culture, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not working out the finite detail now, but that was one idea I had, and I'm curious. I would like to experience some of the new biomes, but I think Cold Bog is going to be. I mean, it's actually not that similar to Sea Ice, but it might be more interesting to see me do a tropical swamp. But maybe, well, we'll see what you guys think. So these guys are attacking immediate. They are not very well insulated, or at least that one isn't. This one's okay insulation. This one's not very well insulated. This is going to be another scenario where they did spawn a bit closer. Spawning in this corner is further from my base than there, but I don't think they're going to get a lot of purchase here. They're not going to be able to do too much to my pawns. One's already seriously hypothermic, and I guess he's not fatally hypothermic. And I only really need to knock down one more before they all flee. But the fact that I got silver off of one of them is pretty good. And there goes the other one. And I can strip him. So when they're dead man items are market value of pennies. As you can see, there's nothing worth anything on that dead guy there. So I'm going to strip Danny because I shot him. He's likely to pass out first. But I'm going to leave Paul here fully clothed. And I'll just make a point of hauling the other ones in. So I suppose now I will dig some more graves. And I can start hauling their clothing and digging the rest of the graves. It's better that I bury them early. Alright. I think... No, I don't really have enough power to run this. I really hope There we go. Generating a little bit more power. As you can see, wind can be fickle. That's why I usually do solar panel. And I might still do solar panels if I have an excess of silver components at some point. Because it's kind of always the same light level here. And yes, I'm in volcanic winter. So it's not going to be a whole lot of power, but at least I'll reliably make a little bit, a trickle. It's like if the sink in your house could only be like full blast, like fire hose, or not at all. Maybe just having it trickling drop would be better. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. That is a lot of corn. That is very, very cool. I'm going to expand the kitchen a little bit. I'm still going to take the time to haul this in because the corn will last. It's not going to deteriorate that quickly, but the clothing will. I'm not going to resell the corn, so it doesn't really matter if it's 15% deteriorated or not to me. I'm still going to cook with it. But that's a pretty cool find. And then, of course, what else comes with the coal is 7 more slag. So, I can expand my slag walls a little bit. That's 2. Oops, let's go ahead and fix this. 4, 7. We'll call this slag wall 4. And paste our settings, because our settings are still copied. Let's haul the corn first. Not the slag. I think the slag can last. Alright, so there's one more armload of of corn left. There we go. A nice cargo drop of a lot of potential future steel and corn. And, ooh, we have an exotic goods trader. So we got to turn on our beacon, which means I need to monitor my battery levels a little bit better because we were super low. I'm going to go ahead and sell off all but 3 of my glit. And, I think because I'm not urgently in need of anything, I'm not going to go ahead and purchase items that I can break down into materials. Although I'm really tempted, actually. Because if I manage to work to make... If I manage to get 170 steel right now, I suppose what I'll do is I'll buy this steel animal box, and that's it, just because it was a pretty cheap item. And I can get the 26 steel off of that for 100, which is not too bad. But I think I can wait until I have access to a bulk goods trader, because I'll get more steel for my silver than if I was to trade for art and things to break down. It's just not that efficient doing it that way. I'm curious if I ever get the base nice enough for some inspiration. That's possible. Especially if I find some random, like a cargo drop of random stone, because then I could pave up my base a bit. Alright, so we're plugging away at this slag here. I don't think there's any other slag anywhere else on the map. There's really nothing else on the map. I've been pretty diligent about tidying up. We're trying to use every last ounce of resource that we can. And I'm getting that through whatever I can find on the map. It's important that I pick it up when I find it. So we've got 1,100 silver, which is actually literally just enough to call on a trade convoy if I need to. Not that I would have any silver left to trade with them, but I could, I guess, call in a bulk goods trader if I was starving and sell off all the clothing that I don't need for silver and buy some food or something. It's a possibility, at least. It's a little disorienting to be this far in the North Pole. I look at the map and I think this is the North Pole, this is the South Pole, so I go to move around and I realize, yeah, oh yeah, that's right. I'm already way up top. All right, so I've obviously not been paying enough attention, and the game has punished me a little bit by killing off a little bit of my rice. And despite forbidding the hydroponic basin, I seeded it back. Alright, I gotta pay a little bit more attention to my power levels. They're not over 9,000, so gotta be careful how I spend them. I think okay. A random person forces their way into my group. Well, I suppose I'm gonna have to banish them. I was about to say I was gonna redesign this dumping stockpile a little bit. To be more bunker-like. So I'm going to have them set up like that. And that way I can take cover from multiple angles. Alright, Lee already has hypothermia here. Just going to try to... Yeah, I'll be able to. Oh, Lee passed out. I obviously can't afford to house Lee right now, no matter how good of a pawn you are. You're a pretty optimist and capable of violence. Well, being incapable of violence means I'm not really capable of keeping you as a colonist. So he died. And we will bury him. And unfortunately, I was around for when he expired, which means I witnessed it, which is a negative mood buff that I'll have to deal with for a bit. Now that I have the power to run the comms console and the grow lights, we'll get them back up and on. As you can see, it's almost too cold to even grow anything. It warms up midday, so so eventually this can start growing a little bit, but it is pretty cold. And watching my battery levels, obviously I need to cut my lamp. What I truly need is enough wood turbines that even if the wind isn't blowing all that hard, I still have some power generation, because at their minimum, they're still going to generate 120 watts apiece. Maybe that despite only generating 120 watts, it would be better. I don't know. I'm thinking, yeah, maybe it would be better just to have solar if one solar panel could generate more than that. I guess time will tell. So they were friends, huh? Lee and Cross, having never met, were somehow friends. I suppose if Tom Hanks makes friends with a volleyball, another human visiting Cross shouldn't surprise me as being a friend. Alright, power's going up. I can maybe flick my grow lamp back on. We're just about done hauling all the slag. And as you can see, I have 160 slag of steel here. So if we get the 170 that we need for a smelting bench, I almost immediately refund it because I have so much slag to break down in the electric smelter. And then also I have some shivs and stuff to break down in the smelter. So I'll actually recoup all of my silver the moment I'm able to spend the 170 to build the smelter in the first place, which is pretty cool. Alright, I'm watching the battery. I promise. I mean, I suppose at this point, it's just so cold this early in the day. Ooh, okay, a solar flare. I don't know if I can even recover much. I guess I am recovering a little out of the hydroponic basins where rice should be. So that's why rice is a more reliable crop than anything else, is because it grows so fast. In the event of a solar flare, you can't lose. You can only lose up to 3 days worth of growth, whereas with a different crop like heel root, you know, you can lose 6.5 days worth of growth, or 5.5 with potatoes. What are strawberries? 4.6. Hop plants, 5 days. Smoke leaf, 7.5, and psychoid is 9. So the longer the grow time, the more damning, a little solar flare can be. And it's still it's struggling to become warm enough to even re-sow seeds in here, because we're in the first of winter and it's it's really cold. Being super cold, I think, is the easiest way to explain it. So we're just sort of at that temperature here, as you can see. Alright, bulk good trader. That's pretty much exactly what we wanted. So let's go ahead and turn on the beacon. Getting pretty lucky here, gotta say. Yeah, we have a beacon. Come on. Alright, so what do I need from them? I could sell my wool, but let's see if I need to. I can sell, obviously, happily sell pretty much all of my clothing here. There are some parkas that actually net me some money. So let's take a look at this. This parka, for instance, is worth $121.95. Let's do some math here, right? $121.95. But I'm selling it. Is this the $121.95? Yeah. I'm selling it for $36.20. So I'm really not, and this explains why I'm not picking up anything that's not worth very much. I'm only getting about 29.7% of the worth of the item. So if an item is worth 3 silver, I'll only make 1. And is a trip across the map worth 1 silver? Basically, I'm saying no, it's not. I have better things to do with my time than to make a single silver that way. Alright, so we went ahead and sold all of our clothing except for the really nice toque that I bought before. I could buy their medicine, but it's a little overpriced. And they don't really have any crafting materials that I want, other than, of course, steel. So let's go ahead and buy. We can buy almost 500 steel here. 496. But I think what I'm going to do instead of that is buy 400 of it. No, 490. I'm trying to think if I really need wood. Yeah, I'll buy some wood just in case. Alright, so I can buy 100 wood and 430 steel, which is pretty awesome. Immediately, as you can see, the base looks very, very different, with a lot less storage being taken up. That part's plain to see. I am, of course, dwindling my component supply. But with the second heater, I've got to say I'm pretty happy with... Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this base. So it's possible here that... Well, let's see how much it would cost at the bare minimum to insulate. Running the bare minimum numbers. Right? So that's kind of bare minimum, right? Something like that. So that's 41. 41 times 5, considering I don't fail at any construction, is only 205 steel. 205 steel out of 400? I think I can do. I think I can swing that. And I will swing that. So that is a project worth doing. And I'm going to put extra steel there because I want to protect the wood walls that are behind it. Alright, so this is a momentous occasion, I would say. Pretty cool that I'm getting this built. Episode 2. I feel pretty blessed and lucky, if I'm being honest. Alright, so the bulk goods trader's gone. And I'm obviously going to need to rethink of my slag chunk wall thing, whatever you want to call it. Let's go ahead and haul the wood inside. I don't think I'm going to really ever be able to sell tribal stuff or clubs. Those kind of... I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think there's a market for those kind of items. Alright, so we have an inside zone and another indoor zone. What I'm going to try to do is reinstall this in here and see if that makes any sort of discernible difference. I'm also going to polish off the corners here. I have the steel. And I believe, unless I'm misinformed, that it actually makes a difference. I mean, certainly making the physical square footage indoors less makes a difference. Oh, and rare thrumbo? Oh, come on now. This game is just sending me slow ball after slow ball of really easy to succeed here. So I want to... Oh, you're not done yet, young Padawan. Haul this wood out of the way. Put the last in. And yeah, of course, I used a fair bit. I still have 130 left. I used a fair bit of my my steel up, but and I probably should have made a smelting bench out of some of it. Oh wow, this thrumbo is down from the hypothermia. It is simply just that cold. That's pretty funny to me. Sorry, thrumbo. You have to be on the losing end of that. Alright, so let's change this around. Well, I might actually want it over here. Yeah, I might actually want these still somewhat here, like this. I'm just going to change it so that the zone's up 1. It's it's going to get in the way of mobility around the base if I keep it where it is. I was so excited about expanding my insulated wall that I forgot a little bit about smelting, obviously. Now let's go ahead and do some cooking. You're just wandering? Yeah, there we go. And of course we can butcher the Thrumbo, which is a big find. It was an old Thrumbo, 166, had hearing loss and everything. Now saying I'm going to need warmer clothing. So I think what I'll do is I'll just keep the warm heaters in the inner circle, and not worry so much about warming any of the outside circle. And as you may have seen, I've been keeping my my grow light off because A, we have all this wonderful corn just kind of sitting around for now, but B, because honestly, wind power is just, I mean, it could be more reliable, I'll put it that way. Alright, let's shut this off. I'm gonna go butcher. Alright, so Thrumbo, as you know, gives a lot of lovely Thrumbo fur. Let me see if I can't, what is a jacket? Jacket 70 ingredients? Yeah, I think I'm going to make a Thrumbo fur jacket. Because Thrumbo fur is a pretty tough material, so it'll be a good battle jacket. It'll be nice for protecting my core in combat scenarios. So I'm kind of just brainstorming how to fix the fact that I didn't build the smelter. Oh, you're gonna... Oh, and you're well insulated too. They're gonna siege me here. Okay. Coming from the south. Alright, so now that we have a proper roof over us, I have to cut out a hole again. Alright, Mr. Chantel. See how tough you are when I'm shooting you full of holes. Oh, you're fleeing. I'd say not tough. It's mostly because your buddy there got frozen to death, didn't he? Well, I don't think you're gonna be outrunning me, friend. Are you a jogger though? No. Alright, you're downed. Let's go ahead and strip. Alright, so as I said before, we need to make sure we only haul things that are of high value. So the highest value is these Molotovs, I think. Although an armored vest is going to be a little bit more, isn't it? I shot a bunch of holes in the armored vest, but that's going to be pretty useful stuff if we are in a combat scenario, I think. So, Thrombo shirt and armor vest combo will help me keep Crosshair a little bit extra protected. So I don't think I'm going to get to, and yeah, I haven't gotten to Paulo here before he expired. So his clothing is not really worth salvaging at this point. I'll just enable burying with everything he wears. But the other one has clothing. So let's go and analyze it. Yeah, well, that's worth keeping, worth keeping, worth keeping, worth keeping. They're all worth keeping. It's all worth hauling. So we'll go ahead and haul that as soon as we can. I guess we are generating plenty of power now. I'm a bit of a skeptic. Let's just suspend that for the time being so we can unpermit that. So we can start hauling the expensive stuff in. So what I need here is I need about 50 steel or 40 steel in order to make an electric smelter. Something I should have planned for a little bit better, I think. So I can cut corners by literally cutting corners off my buildings, and maybe that's the approach I'll take. Cutting corners and maybe temporarily destroying the front door. This is not something that, had I planned ahead, I'd ever need to face, but I did not plan ahead. I feel now somewhat stupid. I was really, really eager to get a very full, nice blueprint around my base and thought I'd have steel left over for the smelter, and I'm wrong. Don't make my mistake. But alas, I have another bulk goods trader. So make my mistake, because apparently the game has unbelievable amounts of mercy for me and allows me to make ample mistakes without paying for them. So here we go. I'm going to go and sell my remaining Thrombo fur. That gets me close to what I need. I can sell the shirt, keeping the toque. It's 40, 31. Let's haul the remaining 2 pieces of clothing, and that might be enough to get me there. Now, I would also really like to buy components. The ABCs of my playthroughs always buy components, but at least at the moment I have enough. This is going to take 2, so I'll have 8 left. Maybe I have some downed ship parts, I'm hoping. And even if I don't have downed ship parts, you know, obviously a smelter is pretty important, and components are pretty expensive. Alright, so these 2 last pieces of clothing should net me enough for a smelter, I hope. So let's go ahead and check. What was it? Oh, it's a muffalo wool parka. That's a pretty warm parka. 216. Well, I'd like to try to keep that if I can. And I think I can. I think I can just about keep it. And the reason I want to keep it is if I ever get another pawn, you know, I need something warm for them, right? So, what's warmer than a muffalo wool parka? Not very much. In fact, my own parka, it's about the same. It's 208, 8, And this is what, 260. Yeah, this is actually warmer. The muffalo stuff is technically warmer than my alpaca wool. All right. I am coming up at the end of my hour, and I am quite happy with how this base turned out. I must have picked 4-leaf clovers for a living in my past life, because I feel exceedingly lucky. Thank you for watching. I'm looking forward to hearing your feedback, questions, comments, concerns, suggestions for future playthroughs, keeping in mind that I want to do another Alpha 18, or probably more than one, but one coming up after this, and looking forward to hearing some of the stories coming out of doing this playthrough. Last time, a lot of you participated and showed me what kind of stories you were able to get and how far you were able to get in this challenge, whether you succeeded or failed, etc. I'm looking forward to hearing all that kind of stuff. So hit me up, drop me a line, and I will catch you all later. Adios, friends.